What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and of course, we feature a beer of the week. I'm Matt. With me is Lauren. And if you're looking for us, you just found us somehow, go to Hops Geek News on any podcasting platform out there. You can find us on any social media platform, all by searching Hops Geek News, patreon.com/Hops Geek News. That is how you can support the show. Everything that comes back into the show goes right into the show. We use it. That's what we do. We try to make a better product. So thanks for hanging out with us. Also, like, subscribe, and rate and review the podcast. That's how we can help grow the podcast. With that said, we are going to talk about some news. We're going to talk about what we've been reading or watching. I got some spoiler-free things for you, such as Evil Dead Rise, The Covenant, 65, and Power Rangers. And then we're going to talk about some Supernatural because we hadn't talked about Supernatural in a couple of weeks. And so we're going to do that. First things first, beer of the week. From me, it's from Icicle Brewing Company, Enchantment Hazy IPA. It is, from Leavenworth, Washington. This delightful hazy IPA features abundant amounts of Mackinac, Mosaic, Citra, and Simcoe hops. Expect pleasant notes and aromas of ripe melon, mango, papaya, pineapple, and citrus. And then, of course, the artwork. The infamous Asgard Pass is a steep, formidable gateway to the core of the enchantments. Rising 2,200 feet above Coldchuck Lake in less than a mile, this trek is grueling but gorgeous. And the watercolor on the can is done by local artist Bethany Ray. Go ahead, follow her at arrowleafstudio.com. This is 6.7%. It's delicious. It's great. If you're on the tube, that's the can. Get yourself some Leavenworth, Washington. Lauren, what are you drinking this week?
I am. So you sent me that one a while ago, and I loved
I
that one.
did.
And
I
I'm
sent you
drinking
this one
another
too.
one. Yes, Windy Bay IPA from Oh, it rhymes. Windy Bay IPA from Paragon Brewing, and it said brewed in Idaho, so I figured that had to have been from you. An Idaho original.
Does. Yes.
This is
I
delicious.
have that in my fridge. I have not opened it yet, though.
It's I drink so many hazies, and I love my hazies, but sometimes when you get just a good classic IPA, it's like you forget how
Oh,
good they
yeah.
can be. Because I feel like hazies are, I don't want to say more consistent, but they're more consistent to me liking them than a run of the mill, more so West Coast IPA. And
For
so
sure.
when you get a really good one, this is amazing. And I have it in my family business class because
Big
we're talking
Balla,
supernatural.
Shot Kala. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some Supernatural for the first time in like forever today. So we are back, much like Dean. We haven't actually spent any time in hell, but we have spent some time away. So
So we both have kids.
I mean, that's true. There's a lot going on in my personal life right now that I was gonna go ahead and say, yeah, I've much like Dean, I've been living in hell. So, but I wasn't sure how we'd feel about that one.
This is our own Lazarus Rising episode.
We are back, and first things first, though, what did you? Because I didn't. What did you look into from last week?
What did I look into? So I think the only thing that we couldn't have our synopsis connect for was the spy from The Mandalorian,
Yeah,
Elia Kane, and she was played by Katie M. O'Brien. So that's it. Maybe Sean didn't listen yet because I feel like he probably knew that right away.
Sean
And
usually
if he did
yells at
listen, he
us.
probably
Yeah,
yelled at his radio. Yeah.
this is how we know Sean's not listening to our podcast anymore. Our only listener stopped listening to the podcast. So thanks for nothing, Sean. Appreciate you.
Oh,
Anyways,
so Tim actually did hit me up recently when I said the Star
aha,
Trek
we
thing.
have two listeners.
He's like, did I know? That's what I was thinking. Well, and my mom. But Tim was like, did I really tell you not to watch Star Trek, the series? And I was like, yes, because I distinctly remember it being like a core memory, being like, okay. But yeah, he says Star Wars is or Star Trek is good. It's just, I guess it's just a lot. So there's your Tim Howe cameo.
All right. Well,
Stan Lee cameo is what I meant to say.
what did we read and or watch? I'm gonna let you go first because I got a few things that I want to discuss.
So I finished the first of the Aftermath books, which this one is just called Star Wars Aftermath. I
Love
so
those books.
well, my husband reached out to Matt this Christmas
Oh,
and
that's
said, "Got
right.
any ideas?"
You're welcome.
Right. Thank you. And so my husband did get me all three of the books. And when I opened it, I kind of looked at him and he's like, "Yeah, Matt told me to get this." And there was another something else that like
Come
Ian
on,
had told
Josh. You're
him
not
to get.
supposed to give away your secrets. You're supposed to be like, look, I pay attention to you.
There's no way he would have picked this out. But no, I appreciate him asking. I mean, he made the effort. That's awesome.
That's true.
So this is I just started the second one, but this was awesome. To anybody who wants to read Star Wars books, I highly recommend this. So, a couple of things, because there were times where I would suddenly Google, okay, what creature is that? Because, when you're watching it, it's like I'm really bad with names. So, when I'm watching something
So
and you
bad with
see,
names.
okay, this is that specific, type of alien or whatever, I don't remember what that looks like. So, I would Google it, but then I would have to quickly, vacate that web page so I didn't spoil anything for myself. But a couple things did come out. So, one of the main characters in this, because it doesn't focus on the characters there's sprinkles of the characters there's a sprinkle of Han, there's a sprinkle of Leia. It does start with Wedge Antilles, but the main characters are people that I was not familiar with. So one of the characters, which is a child, I ended up Googling. When I say child, he was like 15, I think, in the book. Temmin Wexley is the guy in the sequel trilogy that
Yeah.
he was in Heroes. And so I
Yeah.
just Googled him and I was like, oh shit. So that's kind of cool. I had no idea. Like, this guy who's in the sequel trilogy, his origin story is in this book. So that's really cool. And they're one of the characters. I am going to spoil this one because I wanted to encourage people to read this.
Damn it.
It's not really about him. It's a very brief mention, but Cobb Vanth, who was in Boba Fett,
Yes.
is in this, and it explains how he got the Boba armor. So as soon as they said they were on Tatooine, I started doing the math, because this takes place right after the Battle of Endor. The Battle of Endor is a big premise of this book. It doesn't take place in this book, but it's all like people are still, licking their wounds after the Battle of Endor. And
That's true.
so once I started to figure that out, I was like, oh, he should be there. And, Boba should be with the Tusken Raiders right now. And, are we going to see anybody? And then lo and behold, Cobb Vanth showed up. Very excited. Highly
Surprise.
recommend this book. I'm hoping the other two are just as good, if not better. And the only other thing I really watched this week, I did start Ted Lasso, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, finally. I'm so excited.
I finished Better Call Saul. It got so
Was
good.
that the end of the series?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It made me want to go back and rewatch Breaking Bad. And now Josh actually, because he had given up on it because he felt like it got a little slow. And then he actually started to pick it back up because I finished it, said it was really good. He heard other people saying it was just as good, if not better, than Breaking Bad. Um, but yeah, it was really good. If you gave up, I think I said this last week, if you gave up on Better Call Saul and you loved Breaking Bad, go back. Everything's on Netflix now. You can binge it. Towards the end, they started doing more present and past, because it's a prequel, but they would still like start, like, whenever it's the future or current day, it'd be black and white, and then they would go
Oh,
to
okay.
the prequel. So we got more
Interesting.
of where Jimmy is today. I liked it. It gave me closure. It gave me the desire to want to watch Breaking Bad again. It was awesome. And shout out to Giancarlo Esposito, just killing both his
He's
roles this
everywhere,
past
man.
month.
He's such a versatile actor too, and does a lot of stuff. And he's always
God,
like
he plays evil so good.
smooth but creepy. Yeah, he really does. I love it. I am almost like I don't know how I would act if he comes in and plays like a good guy, because I'd always be expecting him, like, the other shoe to drop and be like,
Well,
"You're bad."
I think you were there. You might have already left, because when we saw him at FanX, I know he was mainly talking about Breaking Bad. And there was some lady who said she saw him on a plane and like just stood like frozen, like she was scared. And she called him Gustavo Fring, which is his name in Breaking
Yeah,
Bad. But she was like, oh my God.
that's what I'm saying. He's like he seems and comes off like the nicest person on earth, but that's what makes it so good, right? Is he plays like this villain so well that you just don't know what to expect otherwise. So yeah, um, I've watched a lot of stuff actually. I'll start with Ted Lasso, and episode 7
With
just
no
dropped.
spoilers.
No, I'm not spoiling anything. These are all my spoiler-free discussions. And what Ted Lasso is doing this season, all the callbacks to previous episodes, and not only that, but the way that they have almost broken down all of these characters and now are rebuilding them up in a different way. Their relationship, or just the things that they've done with Jamie Tart, for example, is a masterclass in how to write a character, how to properly progress a character, because he is so vastly different from the Jamie Tart that we met in season 1, episode 1. And it's such a beautiful journey, and the relationships are beautiful. And this is a team that truly loves and cares about each other, and it comes across like the cast, they've got to be having fun and love and care for each other too, because the chemistry is so well done there. And they also have like real life issues built into this show with things that we can relate to here, even in the States. And it's just absolutely wonderful. I almost treat this show like therapy in a way because it just makes me feel so happy afterwards. And I'm like, ah, all my life problems are gone now because that's what I'd rather do than go to therapy. And so it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. And then of course I've watched the new Power Rangers 30th anniversary movie. It was 58 minutes long, and two of the original Power Rangers came back. It was Billy and got his name. Have his
Just say the colors. That's how I know them.
Okay, well, it was the Blue and the Black Ranger have come back, and it kind of picks up like Rita Repulsa is a robot now, and you get a couple other cameos from other versions of the Red and Pink Ranger. They actually made it a very beautiful tribute to the original Yellow Ranger, and it was kind of weird because like they didn't get everybody together. Jason David Frank wasn't there.
Did the yellow one pass away?
She
She
passed away. They're
passed?
very, very original and passed away in a car accident in the 90s. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
didn't
so
know that.
like they only would show the Blue and Black Ranger in and out of costume. Everybody else, when they showed them on screen, they were in costumes. So they pretended like it was the original cast, but they weren't all there, right? And
Mm.
it was a nice tribute. It was a nice, just nice. It was what you expected from Power Rangers. It was cheesy. The CGI was a little cheesy. The storylines was cheesy. Nothing about it was, really in depth, but it was still a very beautiful, tribute to the original Power Rangers that I grew up
Mm.
loving. So go check that out. It's on Netflix now. And then I watched 65 the other night. It is the dinosaur extravaganza, if you will, with Adam Driver.
We were gonna
He,
watch it, but we had to pay for it, so we
well,
didn't.
Plex is the pathway to many movies that some consider to be not released yet. And so
Okay.
we watched that. Honestly, it wasn't as bad. There is a very good story within that movie. I found entertainment in it. It's kind of a letdown. It wasn't what I expected from it as a total. Adam Driver did the best he could with what he had. I feel like the script was kind of weak, and the character that played opposite of them, they didn't write her very well either. And there was some decent dinosaur action in it, and there was some things that you saw coming from a little bit away. But overall, I mean, go watch it. It wasn't a bad movie. If you're looking to just be entertained for like an hour and a half, you're gonna get that value out of it. So go do that. It hasn't come out yet, or it's on digital. You got to pay for it. And last Friday, I actually spent an entire day in the movie theaters. I have the Regal Unlimited Pass. God bless you, Regal, because I went to go see Evil Dead Rise. It's the fifth installment in the Evil Dead franchise, and Alyssa Sutherland is starring in it. She actually plays the mom, and wow, she was absolutely incredible in it. Man, this movie was such a well done addition to this Evil Dead franchise. If you know anything about the Evil Dead franchise, it's that it's gory. It has its funny moments, very bloody, very creepy. No Bruce Campbell, of course. He's the one who, Ash versus Evil Dead, like he started the whole thing back in Evil Dead 1. And, but this though is they find the book, and from there things go haywire in this old apartment complex, and they weren't afraid to take some risks. There was some characters that I was like, there's no way that they do this with this character, but they did that, and I was very surprised. Alyssa Sutherland as a Deadite, man, she crushed it. Absolutely amazing. She was so creepy but kind of like sweet and funny when she needed to be, and that family has trauma after this. Like, oh my God, I don't even know how you come back. The title card sequence to this movie, one of the most beautiful things that I've watched in a movie. So go watch that. It's out now. Absolutely amazing. If you're a horror fan, if you're an Evil Dead fan, they're talking about also having more Evil Dead films come out in the future too, which I hope they do, because this franchise is one of the most consistent horror franchises out there today, along with Scream, I would say. And the right after that movie ended, I was like, oh, what else is playing right now? Jake Gyllenhaal's The Covenant actually was playing, and I was like, oh, I saw like a preview for this. I wasn't too sure what it was. It starts in 10 minutes. I got the Regal Pass. Man, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. And so I just went ahead and I was like, I had a few hours to kill. I went and watched that movie. And this movie is about basically Jake Gyllenhaal he's in the military, and this is about like how we treated our interpreters during the Afghanistan Iraq war. He gets injured, and his interpreter's with him and basically carries him through. And then they abandon his interpreter, and their interpreter's under hiding from the Taliban. He goes back and saves him. The movie is really good for a war movie. I enjoyed it. Dar Salim was actually really, really great. He played Ahmed, sorry, and he was kind of like this breakout standout star for me in this movie. It wasn't what I thought it was. I thought it was going to explore a lot more on Jake Gyllenhaal going back for him, but that was really only like the last 30 minutes. But that's not a bad thing at all. Go watch that movie. That movie's out now as well. Highly recommend it. And so that's pretty much everything I watched. I watched a lot, man. I watched my quarterback also get traded finally, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. That's another thing. And yeah, I don't have anything else. Let's roll into some news. Why don't you kick us off with some news? Because nobody wants to keep hearing my voice.
So Carrie Fisher is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on May the 4th. When I saw this, Mark Hamill shared it. I just thought, like, if she was alive today, I feel like she would be making jokes about the fact that, like, she's only getting this because she died, or oh, I don't deserve this. I could just see her making jokes about it.
Well, I actually do think it's like, why didn't she have this earlier?
Oh, 100%. But yeah. So Black Mirror returns in June. Some of the new episodes will have Michael Cera, Selma Hayek, Aaron Paul, Josh Hartnett, and more. Yeah, that one is one of those shows that always creeps you out, but it's, always got a good twist too. So the voice of the otter from Guardians 3 is actually Linda Cardellini. She's also known as Clint's wife, Laura Barton, or Agent 19. So that's kind of cool. She's going to be 2 different MCU characters. Did you see the post about Kevin Smith? That Kevin Smith posted the fact that he had recently got mental health treatment. I feel like this is only worth sharing for the reason he shared, to let people know if you need help, there is help. Highly recommend checking out his page, following it, and seeing everything he wrote. I mean, we've talked about him before. He's a crier. He's emotional. He's had a lot go on, and you hear that often with people who have had heart attacks, that they get a little depressed afterwards, even though they survive them. And hell, he put that in his freaking movie. So yeah, definitely follow him. Good guy. If you're in Orlando on May the 4th, Gatlin Hall is releasing a hazy Star Wars themed beer called Haze Window, and it was collaborated with Jamal, one of our recent guests, also known as the Hop Circles. Well, so I ran into him the other day, and he, said, I was like, oh, I'm hopefully going to be at Hollywood Studios that day. We'll see. But I can probably stop by and get crowlers of it. I don't think they're canning it. I think it's just going to be, so it's just a fun name. I don't think you're going to get a fun can.
Okay, fine.
But he did do a Star Wars one last year on May the 4th with Rock Pit. And I think I did send you one of those. It was the one Casey did.
No.
Oh, that's right. Because I went there. Jackass. I sat at the bar. No, I ordered it. And by the time I got there, they're like, oh, just kidding. It's gone. And then I was able to get 1 can from a friend. That's right. It was the year before. Oh, I can't even remember. Okay. It's too many beers. A previous Hops News Brewery guest, Silver Branches, is selling their Dr. Juicy IPA at Nationals Park. So this is another sports stadium that you can get a good craft beer at. If you've listened to us on Hops News, we always love talking about all these sports places getting actual craft beer now. And my last piece of news is Jensen Ackles and his wife, Danielle Ackles, who is also Kumar's baby mama in Harold and Kumar, have, I don't know exactly what this means, but he reported this news. It says move first look TV deal to Amazon. I don't know what TV deal is coming on, but they have their own like production company. They're working on something with Amazon.
Yeah, they just have the rights. Like anything that they work on is pretty much going to be exclusively on Amazon, I think.
So, and they're the ones that did the Winchesters, which is on CW. And obviously Jensen did The Boys with Amazon. So he shared it. Apparently it's newsworthy. I'll be excited to see what that means and what projects he's going to be working on in the future.
Oh yeah. More Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki.
Maybe it'll be some supernatural. It doesn't have to be, TV 14 rated.
Action, man.
Come on, throw a few F-bombs in there. Get a
supernatural series going in the vein of The Boys.
Yes,
I feel like that would be rad as hell, dude. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. We could see some actual blood splatter and like some actual, insane, not just son of a bitches,
brutal murders, and watch that whatever Backdoor Sluts 9 that he's into.
Me, Busty Asian Beauties. Meanwhile,
Yes.
TikTok has deemed two of our supernatural TikToks as the censored thing. What is it
Oh man,
when they cover
watch.
it?
Yeah,
And
what
that's on
watch anyway.
CW.
Oh man, who knows? We're moving along. So let's move into some more news. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania will be available on Disney Plus May 17th. Free Comic Book Day is coming this Saturday, May 6th, folks. You can go to freecomicbookday.com to see if there are comic book shops in your area participating. Go pick up a free comic, but also buy a comic book. Support your local comic book shops. If, for instance, you're at Jetpack Comics in Rochester, New Hampshire, which is one of my favorite old school comic book shops, well, they're going to have food trucks, they're going to have beer, everybody dresses up in town. It's a whole extravaganza. So seek that out, support your favorite comic book shop, and get involved, man. It's a lot of fun. Why not? Why not have some fun with it, man? And then Boom Studios, speaking of comic books, will be kicking off Amy Jo Johnson's upcoming Power Rangers book series with an 8-page prelude, which will come out this summer. We're getting more Power Rangers, this time written by the Pink Power Ranger herself. I know I'm going to be getting that one. There is a Star Wars timeline book that is out now. I know it's a little outdated already as far as they don't have like the Bad Batch and where that all fits in at. However, it's got a lot of work went into
It's
this
already
book.
outdated.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of work that went into this. So go check, you get your timelines in, check it out. Really great book. Aside from that, Tamura Morrison talked about why he wasn't in The Mandalorian season 3. He said he was supposed to. He never actually got the phone call, I guess. And then he mentioned that the Disney was doing budget cuts, which I found interesting just because
Disney.
we were all kind of wondering where he was at, what was going on, and then he's kind of
I kind of
unhappy, it seems like.
that made me really sad when I saw that. But to me, I kind of thought like, dude, he's running like Tatooine now. Like he's got his own shit to deal with.
Yeah, well,
Plus, I don't feel like he has ties to Mandalore. Yeah, he's the clone of Jango Fett who might have had ties to Mandalore. But like, I
yeah.
mean, didn't he grow up in like Camino and then, has he ever even been to Mandalore?
No, he definitely hasn't.
So yeah, it would make more sense that he just took this Jabba the Hutt's throne. Like he's got shit to deal with. He's busy. That didn't take me by surprise. He wasn't there. It took me by surprise hearing those comments, and then it made me sad because he seems like a genuinely nice dude. And I want more of him, not necessarily as Boba, but as other clones. Like I want him as Rex.
Yeah,
I want to see him doing other things.
I do too.
So
No, I definitely do too. Last
I
piece of
loved his
news,
cameo in Obi-Wan.
or I shouldn't say last piece of news. So we have a couple more things. So CinemaCon just aired. They aired an unfinished version of The Flash. Rave reviews, apparently. Very rave reviews. I'm excited for this movie. The only problem that I still struggle to fully get behind it is that Ezra Miller is such a piece of trash. That's
Mm-hmm.
like, I hope they kick them out. However, I am excited for the film because there's a lot that went into it. Michael Keaton is back, and there's a lot of cameos, things like that in this film. So people were talking it up. Really excited for that. And then we have like Smile 2 is there's going to be a sequel to the film Smile, which is coming from Paramount Plus. That first film I didn't mind too much, but it was all right. So if you haven't seen that, Smile 2. And then last bit of news, Craven the Hunter will be coming out October 5th. It's a Sony Marvel set in the Spider-Man universe, and it's going to be rated R for some reason. I don't know why. We needed this in the first place. I don't know why it's going to be rated R. Apparently, Rhino's going to be appearing in this, and I don't necessarily have good things to say about it, so I will leave it at that. Do you have any other
I'm o-
thoughts?
I'm okay with all of it being rated R at this point. You kids can
You
wait
might
till
as
you're
well.
17 to see these movies. You don't have to see everything when you're little.
I guess you might as well, right? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
couldn't
So
even like I don't know. I guess maybe it's just my situation. Like I chaperoned a field trip for Logan last week, and Logan is going to be sick soon. And he really likes Mario, and all of his friends in his class are like, "Did you see the Mario movie yet?" And I was like, "No, we haven't." And I said to Logan,
you're
"I'm like, do
missing
you want to
out.
try to see a movie again?" Last movie we saw was Lightyear. The kid didn't shut the fuck up the whole time. And so I was like, "Do you want to see Mario? We can go like in the middle of the day on a two or no on a sat because he's in school right now. We can go like 2 o'clock or whatever when it's low after it's been out." No, I'll wait till it comes out on video. Or not, he didn't say those words because he's 5 and
He
it's
said, "I'm going to go to the local
2023.
Blockbuster, Mom."
Right. He's said, no, I'll wait till I can watch it on my TV, which honestly, I could pay the $20 and do that. Maybe we'll do that soon, but
Oh, is it out there to rent for $20 right now?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I
God,
looked
that
on
movie is
Prime and you
so
could get it for
freaking
20
good,
bucks.
dude. That movie
That's
is
what I keep
so good.
hearing. I wanted to see it. I thought it'd be fun to take him in
I
the
love it so
theater. And
much.
he's like,
Yeah,
no, I don't care that all my friends have seen it and I haven't.
that's fair. Can't relate, kid. I honestly can't relate. So good on you, though. You know what? Good for him.
At least he knows his limits.
It's true. Well, let's go into our main topic. So we're going to talk about a couple episodes of Supernatural season 5. I've picked it back up a little bit. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. Let's start with season 5, episode 10. We're going to go with Abandon All Hope. Sam, Dean, and Castiel reunite with Bobby to prepare for a showdown with Lucifer. Now, this is where we first meet Crowley. Interesting. Mark Shepard, and I finally get to put the face to the person, and Crowley's here, and yay. What can you tell us about this episode?
This episode was the sad episode.
It was the sad. This was it. The sad episode.
Did we talk about certain people passing away?
I don't. Who passed?
This is the one where Joe and Ellen passed away.
Oh, yeah, that's true. No, we talked
It's
about
been
all
so
this.
long. I'm like, did we
No,
talk
we
about
did.
this?
We did talk about all this.
But we didn't talk about Crowley when we talked about it?
No, we did. We talked about all this. We're up to where I'm at, season 14.
Oh, maybe we need to start over. All right, can you cut for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, we're going to start with season 5, episode 10, Abandon All Hope, where Sam, Dean, and Castiel reunite with Bobby to prepare for a showdown with Lucifer. This is where we meet Crowley for the first time, I believe. Is that right?
that is correct. So the first time you see him is when he is kissing that guy under the, because you got to remember when you summon the demons, it has to be a crossroads. So this was a unique perspective of a crossroad because it was under two highways. And so you did not see this at FanX because you were not into Supernatural at the time, but I did go and see Mark Shepard at FanX, and he talked about this scene. And apparently, it was a local Canadian actor that he had to kiss, and it was an older gentleman, and he did not want to kiss Mark Shepard. I don't think Mark Shepard wanted to kiss him either, but he really didn't care. And Mark said that it took like all day to get this kiss in because the guy was so uncomfortable. And he's like, the guy was sweaty and clammy and he did not want to kiss me.
Ew, that sounds really, that's really disgusting. I'm not gonna lie, it's really gross. Like, oh, that's so gross. Ugh.
But it was funny because like Mark was like, didn't seem like he really gave a fuck. And this other guy was just like, oh God, what did I get myself into?
How do you get hired on to do that as an actor? And like, you just.
No, maybe some things, I guess, maybe playing them out are just more difficult. I mean, I couldn't imagine acting at all, period.
So I have no idea. Well, this is also the episode where Joe and Ellen die as well. This is the end of Joe and Ellen, which was kind of a sad, bittersweet, like, man, that's just sad. It's they blow up because there's like just a whole bunch of demons and death. It's actually a bunch of death.
Hellhounds. Yeah, a bunch of reapers everywhere.
Reapers. That's what it is. All the reapers in the town. And so at one point, Ellen tells the boys to kick it in the ass, which is a tribute to executive producer / director Kim Manners, who passed away in 2009. He was fond of saying this phrase before a take to encourage the actors. And when Castiel tells Dean that he has found Crowley, Dean replies, "Okay, Huggy Bear, just don't lose him." He's referring to the confidential informant from the 1970s TV cop drama, Starsky and Hutch.
I did not know that until I was researching this episode. I was just like, oh, he called him Huggy Bear because that's the kind of relationship they have.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just makes sense, right? And
okay, Huggy Bear.
Was good. It was sad because Joe and Ellen, like you always, Dean and Joe actually finally share a kiss. You know, that had been building up for how many seasons, how many episodes, and they finally do it, and then they just let the Hellhounds in, and kaboom, they blow them up, and that's the end of them. So that way, Sam and Dean can get away and go do their own thing. And then this is actually where we see Lucifer digging up a hole because Death arrives at the end. We haven't seen Death yet. I still haven't seen Death yet.
Oh,
And
I love
he
Death.
basically tells Sam that he's going to let him in and all that good jazz while Dean's looking off from the woods and Castiel as well. And there's a whole
It's
group
like,
of people, and it's pretty
so you
intense.
say, yeah. And I love Mark as Lucy. He does a great job. But the whole scene with Joe and Ellen too, I feel like is extra heartbreaking because Ellen's fine, but she's not going to let her.
Yeah.
And Joe wouldn't have been able to do it. Joe died before she needed to set the bomb off or whatever she
Yeah.
needed to do.
That's true.
But
Yes.
like Ellen, you're not going to let your daughter die. Yeah, you're going to go
Yeah.
out with your
She,
kid, your
they
only
both went
child.
out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which
And what's
blaze of
interesting,
glory.
yeah, what's interesting though is I think Ellen's only like 11 years older than Joe. I heard her on
Oh,
the
really?
Supernatural Then and Now podcast. Yeah, I guess but Joe looks very young for her age, the actress. But same thing with like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but that was kind of an accident
Yeah.
because he was the age he needed to be for the flashback, and then they couldn't. We've talked about that before, but yeah, this was a on the darker side of one of the Supernatural episodes.
It definitely
But we
was.
get to meet Crowley,
It was good, and we met Crowley, who's basically like on his own side. He
and it
wants
was
Death to die,
right,
or
and it
not
was
Death. He
funny when you
wants
text
Satan.
me because you're like, oh, doesn't so Crowley's not a bad guy, and it's like, well, no, keep watching because Crowley, yeah, he's just out for himself. But
Makes
because he gave
sense.
him the gun and then they go to shoot him. Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
bullets.
they did shoot. They shot Satan, and then Satan's like, that doesn't work on me. And you're like, of course it doesn't. It would not be that easy.
Right. There's like 5 things it doesn't work on, and Lucy's one of them.
That's true. Well, next episode, Sam Interrupted, season 5, episode 11. Dean and Sam check themselves into a mental hospital so they can investigate a monster that is attacking patients. Now, this is where the pudding comes into play because they are mental patients and they are investigating what's going on. And so they get kind of caught. And Dean turns around, pulls his pants down, and yells pudding, and you just hear it smacking.
I know you hear the lie.
This is a
So
family
funny.
show.
So Sam in the script, Sam was supposed to say the pudding line, but Jensen and Jared switched it because they knew that it made way more sense for Dean to do
Oh,
it. I
there's
can't
yeah, Sam. I
imagine
can't
Sam doing
imagine
that.
Sam. There's a universe that I kind of want to see that just for like comedic purposes. Like, how does that play out? But Dean, that's Dean the whole way.
Right. Watch the outtakes and you'll see that because
Oh,
Jared's goofier in person than
oh,
Jensen is.
really?
Oh yeah, and you can tell in the outtakes, Jared's like a giant child.
I have seen some things from like Comic Cons, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both funny, but I think it on screen it makes way more sense for Dean to do that. But yeah,
Right.
I love the smacking. It's
Just
just
slap, slap, slap.
I don't know why you guys love doing that. All right.
What can you
So
tell us about this episode?
Misha Collins was actually in Girl Interrupted, which obviously the Sam Interrupted title is based on that movie with Winona Ryder, and it's got a bunch of famous people actually:
Oh yeah.
Brittany Murphy, Angelina Jolie, Misha Collins, and Barry's mom, the Speed Force, is in this episode.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, she was the one that was like the imaginary doctor.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the bad girl, right? Because she was. Oh, wow, they showed like what they actually look like. Those some pretty creepy demons.
No, she was invisible.
Oh, got you.
She wasn't
Okay.
the what was it called? Not a Striga. Was
Yeah,
it
I don't
Striga?
remember what
No.
they're called now. Just that they like sucked people's blood like a straw. That was pretty
Yeah,
dark.
they had the wrist thingies, and then when he
Yeah.
breaks the wrist thing, I love the face he makes when he's holding it. He's like, "Ooh,"
Yeah, I
when
mean,
he
I
throws
was
it.
thinking the same thing because that's gross. Like, ooh, gross. Ew.
But she's the one that she's the therapist, and she's like, "Why do you feel you have to save the whole world?" And she's talking to him.
Oh,
That's
right. Got you.
yeah.
Got you. Now I remember.
But it was a fun episode to see. Like, how does anybody not know they're crazy? Like, they genuinely think like they know the truth and nobody else does, and how do they know they're not just insane?
Yeah, it was a fun like. Are you sure what you're seeing is what's actually happening out there? Like it was a fun look into the psych, basically.
And how funny is the opener though to get admitted to the hospital? They just tell the truth.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good too. And
It's
this
like
was a
my
good
brother was
episode.
just high.
This was a decent episode. It was fun. Like, the guy that they go in, who's their friend in there, he plays in White Lotus.
Oh, he comes back. I don't like him.
Well, yeah, he's in White Lotus, and he's Stifler's mom's like husband or whatever that she ends up
Mm.
hooking up with in season 1 and everything like that. So I knew I recognized him. I was like, where's he from? And then it clicked. He's in White Lotus.
Yeah, just know when he comes back that he's still not mentally stable. That's all I'll
That's
say
about
about
right.
that. But
All right. Episode 12, Swap Meat. Ew, gross. While investigating a haunting for an old babysitter of theirs, which is a stolen child of the girl's belly, Sam is the target of a teenager's body switching spell. Now, this was funny because this is where that kid ends up hooking up with the MILF and all of that stuff. And it was
I
really
would like,
goofy.
what does it say? I would like to have this sex with you.
Yes, yes. He's like, and it's
I've
just
said
like
that to
so
Josh before, and he
uncomfortable.
just looked at me like, what?
He was like, what's happening here? Like,
He's like,
yes.
okay, but why are you saying it like that?
It was a fun episode because like these kids, they basically summoned the demons. They didn't know what they were doing. They just wanted a reward of sorts. And
Yeah.
it turns bad for them. So, entering the basement to hunt for the witch's bones, Gary is carrying a shotgun and says, Booyah, Master Chief is in the house. Obviously, Halo reference. And then
That was not obvious to me.
it was obvious to the rest of us, Lauren. The high
Oh.
school girl was actually almost 30. It's one of those, are they 13 or are they 30? Because you can't really tell. And then Gary had busty Asian beauties.
Sam was kind of a dick though. You see, he saw the Star Wars shirt in his closet and he goes, did he call him a virgin when he saw that? Or
I
no,
think he did, yeah. Or
you think he
something
called him
like
a
he made fun
nerd
of
or
him.
something? Yeah. And it's like, how many fucking Star Wars reference do y'all make? Like, you check into a hotel under the name Wedge Antilles, and then you're gonna make a nerd joke
That's
because
what I'm saying. Like,
Gary
Sam,
has a
you're no
Star
better.
Wars shirt.
Sam, you drink demon blood, all right? Get over yourself. Get off your
Can't
high
judge
horse there,
anybody.
buddy. You're Satan's
Just because you
vessel.
can tolerate gluten doesn't mean
Yeah,
you should be
like
drinking demon blood.
listen here. You're better than nobody, or at least they have a hobby that's somewhat reasonable, all right?
I felt it was
But
a little out of
then
character of him to make fun of the
agreed.
kid.
And then it turns out that the kids summon the demon and all that good stuff, which doesn't work out for them because they all die except for Gary, who helps save the day.
The girl didn't
And
die.
oh, that's right. She
They
started to be
exorcised
like,
her.
"Hey, I don't know if this is a good idea." And then the kid's like, the other whatever his name is, was
Yeah,
like,
he
"This is
died.
you're just being scared, blah blah blah." And then he's like, "I want my reward," and then he gets toasted. So
He got his eternal reward, like from
he
Aladdin.
did. He's dead. Death to me.
I like that when Gary and Dean start doing the Latin, and then he's like, "Adios, bitch." He's like, it's adios."
That's right. That was fun because Gary actually knew what he was doing. He looked at him like, "What?" Like,
Mhm.
shut up. All right, shut up, stupid. That was good. So I like this episode. It was fun. It's always fun when there's like some switcheroo happening and seeing how it plays out. And so, episode 13, the song remains the same, which is another Led Zeppelin song. Anna is sent back in time to kill Mary and John Winchester before Sam is conceived. So, this is the episode in which Jensen Ackles first appears in Dawson's Creek, and it's also called Dawson's Creek. The song remains the same. Interesting coincidence, perhaps.
I thought it was fun as someone who watched Dawson's Creek in high school.
Yeah, lots of Terminator and Back to the Future references, and this is the first time we hear Team Free Will.
We definitely hear that again. So one of the things, like when I go back and watch this, I'm like, I don't understand who sent Anna. Somebody, and like Castiel knew. He goes, "You didn't break out of jail. Somebody let you out of jail. Like you're not able to do that. So whose orders are you under?" Because throughout this whole season, and remember when we met Uriel, he's like, "No, we want this to happen. We want there to be a duel
Oh, so
between
you don't even
Michael."
know?
No, I don't understand
Oh, they
who let
never
her
resolve
out.
that?
Maybe with the going, I mean, because there are 15 seasons, so there are things that I do forget. I'm not claiming to be, an expert, and like that's why I like going back and rewatching some of the stuff, because then I'm like, oh. But with this, when I went back and I was watching it this time, I'm like, I don't understand who sent her. And like Michael doesn't want her to do this. Michael stopped her. Michael stopped, Uriel. Like, so whose orders is she under? Is this another rogue angel that
It must
because at this point,
be.
Castiel is a rogue angel. He's even cut off from the powers of heaven, which is
Right.
why Bobby can't walk. So who the frick let her out? And now you
Huh.
know why when Dean slept with her before, I was like, fucking Anna.
That
Don't
makes
like
sense.
Anna.
Well,
Yes,
she ends up she's dead. She's gone. She gets killed.
rightfully so.
And so she's gone. But yeah, no, that was we get to go back in time again, and Sam actually gets to meet John and Mary Winchester in this one, and he's
Which
like
is
staring
funny.
at Mary, and they're like,
You're
"Dude, what
so
is wrong with
beautiful.
you?" Yeah, that was really creepy, and it's just
He's
like,
like, he means this in a
why
non-creepy
are they both
way.
so enamored with like how hot their mom is? It's kind of weird.
I think Well, yeah, I don't know. There's like always been a thing in movies and stuff with like little boys who think their mom is beautiful. But I think if your parents die when you're young, I think they're left on this like pedestal in many regards.
That's fair. Yeah.
I just think Mary is a terrible human being and a horrible mother.
And John's no better, but
Nope, John is no better.
yeah, she'll get hers eventually. Yeah, good episode. A lot of Back to the Future type references, as we know. Terminator, you got to go back in time just to kill before they're born. And then, of course, we have season 5, episode 14, My Bloody Valentine. Castiel helps Dean and Sam hunt down Cupid after people start killing each other for love on Valentine's Day. The title is a nod to the movie Jensen starred in called My Bloody Valentine. I love this movie, first and foremost,
So
because
I
uh,
actually watched this movie with was it High on Horror Pod? I listened to the podcast while
uh,
I watched it. A lot of fun.
it's a good movie. It is a good movie. Because Misha Collins is vegan, the raw meat that Castiel is devouring in the diner with famine was made specifically for him. Instead of actual cooked meat made to look raw, it was what Misha describes as disgusting concoction of soy, ketchup, and tomato sauce, amongst other things. Ew, that sounds awful.
Raw meat
Gross.
sounds awful too, but
It
yeah, it
does.
looked awful.
Yeah, he's just like pounding burgers, and I'm like, ugh, none of that sounds good. And also, like the dude that's playing Famine, like, ugh, his teeth are so, like old people are so gross to me. I'm
He did
sorry.
such a good job though. He's
I
like
know.
hungry.
It reminded me of the Doctor Who episode where she's the TV, right? And she's like hungry, and like they're broadcasting on the day of the coronation, and she's like sucking
Mm.
at the rain. That's what that reminded me of. But
Mm.
yeah, like something about old people and like his just ugh. He was so old and he looked like he was dust and the crypt keeper and he did a good job and he was eating souls. But then Dean falls out the wagon because obviously famine makes you
Sam, yeah.
succumb, or that's what I meant, Sam. Sorry, succumb to like the thing that you're most desiring. So whether it's love or food or demon blood, and Sam falls into that, and Dean's just watching in horror as this whole thing goes down, and then they get the ring, and Famine's now taken care of. But yeah, Dean doesn't know how to feel about this, which I get it, and it's funny when like Sam drinks the blood, like he just has like this red goatee. It looks so stupid, like this red stain around his mouth. It just looks so ridiculous.
Can't you drink demon blood a little more calmer?
I know, like I don't know. Like it was also funny when he was drinking an old girl's neck, and he goes and he was like, "Wait your turn."
I know.
I was
Because
like,
it's such like
"Ugh."
a 180 from him too. All of a sudden he was like powerful and it was like because he was from like,
Yeah,
Dean, you gotta lock me up.
and he did like not very well. He did, and then the demons found him, of course. But
Right. But
it
I love the scene
was
with
yeah.
Cupid. When
Oh,
Cupid's
Cupid's like this naked dude, and he's like hugging him and everything, and he's
and Dean
they
goes, I don't like it. And Cass goes, nobody likes it.
that's his handshake, and then of course they make fun of him or something, and then he starts crying, and
Crying.
Cass goes up, going, Cass, you're doing great.
Well, and then when he says Cupid, he's like, you mean the guy in diapers? And he goes, he's not incontinent. I love that. Just like literal Castiel.
Yeah, it was fun seeing Cupid's like this pudgy like fat dude who's very emotional, and I just love love. And that's all I love. Like I'm not killing. You think I'm killing those people? I just love love, man.
When he talks about
It's
how John and Mary were set up
yeah,
and that was a big deal, that was orders from heaven to set them up because Sam and Dean had to be born, which more so goes back to the whole Anna trying to prevent them from being born is inconsistent with
yeah,
the overall plan of God, so to speak.
that's true. Yeah, it
So
was.
who gave those orders?
Yeah, I again, he was like, yeah, they're just some things are meant to be. It was interesting. It was very interesting. Overall, I thought this episode was strong. We're getting near the end of the season, so things are starting to crescendo, if you will, with the apocalypse. We have two of the horsemen down, two to go, and be interesting to see where they go next. I will. Who knows when I'll finish this season? Hopefully soon. I've just been busy and then watching other things, so there's been a lot of content out there. Okay, my
Right. I will
bad.
say pestilence is definitely a grosser horseman.
Ooh, gross.
Well, he's like disease.
Well, that
Death
makes
is
sense.
awesome though. You'll love death. So the next episode, you're actually going to meet a reoccurring character through the
Oh,
next, I think 10 seasons, maybe. I don't know.
ooh, episode
Jody. So
16's
you're going to be meeting Jody.
okay. And then Dark Side of the Moon, titled episode 16. That's a Pink Floyd reference.
They love their band
I
references.
do. I love it. So, yeah, folks, we got Supernatural back in your lives, back in your faces, if you will. Go ahead, follow us as always. I will be picking back up on the train, subscribe, all that good stuff. Lauren, do you have anything to leave us off with?
I don't. I'm good.
Righteous. Well, folks, until next time,
Righteous.
we will see you soon. Star Wars month again. Can't talk about it enough. It's upon us. It's upon us all. May the force be with you. Cheers.